Okay. Whew. Took me a while to get here, but I'm here. All right. Peace, Kasim. All right. Any questions that anybody has? I'll deal with them. We'll talk about some things. And see where we go from there. Okay. Whew. Good question for today is, how do you identify a bloodsucker? Right? And just some random 85, high on the privileges he's been given, allowances. Right? People always battling between privileges that certain original people get. Right? They're lighter, like myself or others. It's not really privileges. It's if there are any. If there are any, it's it's allowances. It's things that are allowed. I haven't read Divine Prince's book. Divine Prince's officials, I guess that's the older God. You know, that's the older God. So always was the. It makes sense that the God writes a large book, always articulate. Um, a leader in all these years when I was on the law school of Mecca boards and behind the scenes at a law school. So he's a real one. People don't really know him, but like that, he's not internet popular like that. But trust me, he's the real deal. He's as important as any of the elders I've ever met. You know. Yeah, yeah. Some people think that. You know, I think this. It's colorism exists. We treat each other different. There was probably in a person's lifetime they're not gonna get these so-called privileges though. But if anyone happens, it happened within their family. You know, 85s and stuff and things like that. God, you said facts because her father, rest in power, was dark skinned, but her mother could pass for color until she speaks. And her dad told me her family never really dug him. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. You know, I think peace of God can come on, peace of earth, wisdom infinite. Um, I think it can't be taken away from all original peoples. That's Black Americans too, because they be fronting. A lot of these FBAs, they be fronting. Um, their colorism is intense, though. You know what I mean? You don't have to go too far. Like people, I've seen it, obviously, but I've seen it even with the knowledge, though. You know, but when it comes to this colorism thing, Black Americans, different types of Latinos and everything. Um, they're all taught in different ways to run away from what's gonna get you in trouble. And the truth is that the dark you are, that's a form of trouble. That's how they feel. And so they run from that. And that's good that your old earth love you. That's all that counts, right? Hmm. Uh, um, yeah, I want to. The brother might. I didn't give him the link though, but I'm trying. Somebody. I'm gonna say this though because I sell a lot of books. I sell a lot of things. Me and the God King make music and stuff. None of the things that we actually that me and King or the books that I make, I would ask you to purchase nothing that I create to sell is to be bought um, as part of the class curriculum. In other words, especially with my Peace Course book, I got an email from someone, an older man, younger than me, but a grown man, very smart, very articulate, and was asking me about the books. Um, and he says he bought the Peace Course book. Now does he need anything else to learn about this knowledge of self? Come to find out that he hasn't even met the gods. He's never met the gods or anything. He's trying to learn this whole thing by just collecting the right books. And you'd be you'd be more far into it than, let's say, before all of these books that I help co-edit Knowledge of Self, editing the Star Mail trilogy of books, my Peace Course book. But that's not how you learn this, And if anybody's watching and they're watching quietly, they don't say anything, they think they're learning. There's so much more that you could learn, because this is something that has to be taught by someone. This is obvious to everybody. Mostly everybody that knows here. But it's something that is, people still make the mistake with more literature out and everything. You would assume that you wouldn't need to know it. And like I told him that I'm still trying to find him and trying to explain this to him. But I told the brother that the two things that I've learned that you definitely need someone teaching you is this knowledge of self and martial arts. You know what I mean? You need to find somebody. If you can't find somebody where you're at, then the next step is to build solely with somebody through email and through distance, which can be done. And if people have done it with me, it only gets done because I'm used to it. I know how to kind of develop some kind of curriculum that will work and everything, but it's not ideal, It's not ideal. Yeah, that's right, Kasim. Yeah. So it is not a lack of intelligence or stupidity that makes someone think that they could learn this. Now you see all these books and they're validated, right? But think about certain books where I don't think, the Peace Course book I wrote is a special book, but that's a very select audience. You know what I'm saying? And people that think that they're gonna learn this just by reading my book, they're gonna get a lot, but they're not really gonna get what it's like to actually live it daily and stuff. It takes daily activity, daily questioning. Someone that explains these degrees as they learn about your life. But I'm just saying that to anyone that isn't vocal on the chat, doesn't email me or anything like that, which you can. I expect everybody to. Sunez97@gmail.com. Right? So I wouldn't say that's the understanding. I would say that that's the categorization that's correct. Peace. That the categorization is correct. You know what I mean? Right? Because if you say, is that the understanding of it? That's what the solar facts are about. But that's not necessarily the understanding. That's what it's about. It's a correct categorization. All right. And it's just a thing that I had to have this conversation because I was building with one of my students, and he added another young guy on the line, and the young guy was asking me, what it was like with a lot of these elders, these great elders that passed away. He asked me definitely a question that I was speaking for a long time, just going through certain memories and stuff. Things I certainly have said at times here too, and it always gets me how overwhelming it is. Like, like in the span of these, just, sounds like a lot, but it's just like 20, in 2 months, really 24 years being at the school, 23 years teaching. So many of the relationships that you make that are important, are no longer, right? And you juxtapose that with the conversation I have with the brother that is trying to figure this all out by himself. You can't be an autodidact with this. You know what I mean? You can't be an autodidact. I never trained with a trainer. You know what I mean? I learned how to lift weights and stuff like that all by myself, and I made lots of mistakes. I have certain recurring injuries that maybe not. Like I was going nuts with it, like and at one point I was trying to achieve the most that I could lift. It wasn't really suitable for martial arts though, because I was really like slow. But at one time, right, I was benching 100-pound dumbbells. You know what I mean? Getting 15 reps off 100-pound dumbbells. So so you could learn some things on your own as autodidact using YouTube now and using other information. But who would you hurt? You would hurt yourself. You learn this knowledge yourself. Try to learn it by yourself. You really wouldn't just be hurting yourself. You know what I'm saying? You would be misusing something that's really profound, that's really important. King, you asked, do you ever find it weird when people try to tell you about gods that you walked and built with that they never met or knew? One of the things that many peers in my age group have is that they assume that I wasn't around anybody, and that's because when I was with an elder, I didn't go around saying I was with the elder. Everybody starts, telling everybody and acting like it's some big card and everything. And I roll with him and I was with him. And it's never in the context of in the it's never in the context of the build, like never useful at the moment. You know what I mean? And I feel like most people that they didn't get much. A lot of people talk, but they're not here. So whatever they learned from the elders, they kept it for themselves. And yeah, 100 pounds, 100 pounds. You know what I'm saying? But it gave a lot of wear and tear on my shoulders. I have right, and aligned with other injuries, the many injuries I have with martial arts, it just wasn't useful. So it was like what it helped me for, God. Like it helped me benching that much. It helped me, as just a goal, right? But I was so obsessed with that goal that I didn't really get a quality of the weightlifting. So I didn't get I didn't do a diversity. I didn't really study what type of things would work most for me, or what would fit martial art and everything, what would fit my body type. You know what I'm saying? So like the things I would have ease with lifting and stuff, like in daily life and working out, weapons, of course, there's no difference. So there's more, I learned how to weightlift to get a real quality of the muscle, which is more important. I still have that video. I never deleted it because P.E.A.C.E. I never deleted it because when I stopped doing it, I figured people wouldn't believe me. Yes. The room there, the other room there. Yeah, but I'm gonna share that video with you, King. Though me lifting that shit, But in the beginning of my training, I was vegan since '96. Didn't work out that much. Didn't have much motivation. Just testing my whole body. worked out regular, like a maintained workout, like just above dad bod, you know what I mean? And then when the gods put me on a martial art though, because I was already fit, I was regularly fit, and which is weak to me. And when the gods put me on to Seagung and brought me to Seagung Bobby Whitaker, then it became important. Then I started to really study health much deeper as an athlete, you know. But in the beginning of my thing, I bulked up a lot too because I had a lot of soy protein powder, and that gave me a lot of stomach aches. But I never could trace it though, you know. And I like the results of getting bigger. Um, I didn't start to lift heavy weights though until I was in my mid-30s though. So I kind of started that in 2013. Yeah. You being a funny guy. I used to do X Infinite Mind. I used to do 2-finger push-ups, wave push-ups like this with 2 fingers, you know. But my fingers are so battered though, I can't even do it now, you know. I don't try though, you know. But yeah, we used to do 2-finger put, you know. So I guess it would be 4 fingers, but really these 2 fingers, we do push-ups like that, waves, you know. We were really learning, you know what I'm saying? So as I went along in the martial arts, I just figured out what would be most useful for me um, to excel at and also preserve my body. Because when you're young, though, you want to try everything, and then you also do stupid things because you want to check it out. You know what I'm saying? You see movies and shit. You know. So we was doing all that. I would try movie shit and show Seagun, and then he would show me, well, that's not useful. Do it like this, do it like that. He wouldn't really tell me not to do a move. You know what I'm saying? They were all useful in some respect, you know? The ones he was showing me, you know? But there's a lot of where we banged ourselves up a lot learning the martial art. But I also banged up myself a lot being an autodidact, learning, learning how to lift weights and stuff, you know? And like as a daily thing, daily, even after years of not doing that, I could easily lift 75s, probably 80s. But a lot of time after you lift how much you could really lift, it doesn't have a quality to it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have a quality to it, you know? Yeah. 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 But now like I mix the weights more a lot with the calisthenics, you know? Um, hundreds and hundreds of push-ups and hundreds of dips daily, you know? I use a lot of resistance bands at real high levels. So I mix in everything, you know, to get a variety, you know? I tell you, when I figured it out, it's much more useful and potent now, you know? But yeah, out of those 2 things, man, you know, you could bang yourself up, You can figure out the weights. There's tutorials, you know. And when people lift weights badly, it's really just it's usually the amount, you know. And a lot of weightlifters can lift really. A lot of great martial artists can lift weights well, you know, but they're not lifting like ridiculously heavy. They're not going for um, a peak. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're not going for records every time, you know? So what I try to do is try to pick the weight that I can have real control with and then go to failure with it, you know? But that's the thing I like to do. I like to go to failure with all the exercises. So even though a lot of sets and things I do, push-ups, all that, I have set amounts. You know, I don't say the amount of push-ups and dips I do because it's a lot. And I do a lot. So it'll just in case I don't have good form, I still get the amount in. So it's a lot regardless to how you figure it out, you know? Yeah. But yeah. But yeah, the ultimate thing is like these martial arts, definitely this knowledge of self, you gotta learn it with somebody. And I'm like, these elders will admit me. I learned certain things, and like people that build with me long enough that really learned from me, you know, King, we've been building for a long time. You know that there's things I share with you that you can't really get just by looking at the lesson, you know? And just like anything, right? With certain things, there's an aging to it. There's a depth that they get out of it over a long period of time. So, give me a moment. So, these are people that carried the lesson, right? You learn the martial arts. These are people that went through physical battles. You know, you can't get that anywhere else. You know? You can't get that. Peace. Yeah. Yeah, that's peace, God. Yeah. You know? And it's like it's a blessing to have learned all this. You know what I mean? I already knew the advantage I had the minute I got it though. Word, word. Um, there was something else I was gonna say. I'll think of it though in a minute. But today's degree in the 1 to 40 is who's the 10%. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes people don't really understand what rich slave makers of the poor. And it's important to understand the way that society works though. And I was mentioning things about colorism is because privilege is one of the worst words to use for original people that may be lighter or something like that, because you could say that for anyone in a society that, let's say I'm right short, I'm a shorter person versus a taller man. prettier women versus women that aren't so, they all that wouldn't be privilege. These are these are things that naturally happen, the way people perceive things. So when we talk about privilege, though, it's more of an allowance, though. So it's a little different than, let's say, the pretty woman or the taller man, athletic man, whatever it is, because when it comes to racism and the way the shades are treated differently, the way the different ethnicities are treated differently, and they surely are, right? These are things that could be taken back in a minute. And what a lot of people don't understand is that when the understanding seed is among, let's say, when the yellow seed is among the black seed, the society will generally favor the yellow seed. When the yellow seed is alone, though, society will not favor him at all. So these are things that don't understand. These are contradictions that we have to live, that are complete hypocrisy starts by those who are forcing this on us. And it's important to take note of all these things because they give rise to the way people react to certain things, illegitimately, illogically, right? Like, for example, they're clearly making big mistakes here and flooding these borders, though, and letting all types of people come in, right? I hate the word aliens, though, right? It's we don't look at the ideas of the policies of the country, the way that the corruption of the country and its rulership over the world affects the way people become fugitives or in a fugitive status, willing to do crazy things to get to this country. So it's important. It's very important to have a discerning eye, to not look at things as just privileges, but look at them as the society allowances of oppressors. I say that to say this because these are the angles, these are the major manipulations that are done by the 10%. You know what's funny? Ever since the FBA popped off, and this could be my algorithm, I see more people, I see more black people, original people attacking each other than they are attacking things that they are labeling as the oppressor. So amplify the things that they say about other, other rappers. You know what I'm saying? Things that they say about, other celebrities and stuff like that. I won't even count that. You know what I'm saying? Because that just goes into general negativity that is promoted, right? But it really gets serious, though. It really gets serious when you're seeing original people attack each other, and facts don't seem to matter anymore, right? We see it with discussions about hip hop. We see discussions about indigenous heritage and who's indigenous, who's a Native American, right? And what that all means. And I see people quoting FB people like Foundational Black Americans quoting sources that don't say what they're advocating. They'll quote the source to say it proves what they're saying, and it's like they didn't even read the book. They didn't even read the reference. You know what I mean? So you see, like, these are all roots that stem out of the 10%, and we don't even know where it originates from. We're not even throwing those angles out there. I think halftime you said, is privilege not a natural thing to occur? I mean, in certain aspects, though, if a privilege, what I'm trying to say is that a privilege, the way the word privilege is used sociologically today, right? And I say sociologically because sociology is always reinventing things and categorizing. And in this millennial age, they categorize in this way. The privilege is consistent and never bending. And that's why that word is no good for me, the use of that word. When it comes to shade and different peoples, to me, it's more allowance than it is privilege. When it's for privilege, though, you would assume that you would be able to walk always within that privilege, right? Whereas it's different, let's say, with a bigger person, right? A prettier woman, things like that, because those are things that really happen. It's a little different, you know? It's a little different. Yeah, definitely, you know. I saw a debate with Tariq and this Puerto Rican brother that calls himself, I guess he's a scholar, calls himself Dr. Colon. And I tuned in. I wanted to see what the brother knew and stuff. And the brother was inquisitive. While so he didn't have the vibe of it being a debate. He was presenting things and trying to see where he was at. Whereas all Tariq did was just yell at him. You know, was just yelling at him. When he named like a million graffiti crews, he goes, "Oh, nobody knows that. Horse shit. Nobody knows that." And I was like, let's talk about the beginnings of hip hop. Nobody knows it. We're not supposed to know most of these people. A lot of the people that were in there in the beginning, though, they really weren't there that long. That's how history goes. And then people that like him, he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. You know, he gives no scholarly reference points of who he talked to. He talked to this. Whereas the other guy was giving all these names and quoting stuff and you know, he wasn't trying to be definitive. And then he was just being he was telling the Puerto Rican guy, you're just like Fat Joe and all these other people, and just lumping him in. If it's a debate, I don't know why there were no ground rules set, no way of doing it. It's all hyperbole. It's all, you know, it's all hype. You know what I'm saying? Right. I've seen I've seen people say crazy shit like when they go like saying that congas, bongos, and all that were being played in America already, and Latinos didn't bring that. And it's like none of the founding musicians say that. You know? And none of the music that without Latinos plays those instruments as complex and as layered. But I don't know. You know, this is where we're at though. This is the type of shit that we're at. You know, that we're at. Well, absolutely have time. Yeah, definitely. You know, right? Privileges that you can give yourself though is knowing how to speak in the cipher. The articulation that you have. You know, the ability to show and prove things. One of the big, you know, people look at me sometimes and they look at me like I have privilege. You know what privilege I have? Works. I have privilege of works. People get mad. I put in so much work. There's so much work out there that people don't know me for no party. Even real good friends of mine, they don't know me for like, yo, yeah, he's a life of the party and everything like that. Yeah, people know me for the work. You know what I mean? They don't know me for no other shit. And when they know you for your works, you have a privilege though. People get out of the way, expect you to put in that what? That work. You get space to work. You get the form to show your work, your understanding. People listen when you have something to say because you consistently say something useful. You know, we're talking about privileges and people arguing about privileges they don't have and worrying about bloodsuckers and trying to label people that bloodsuckers when they're just manipulators. They're just hustlers. You know, a lot of these people like Tariq and everything, they're weak bloodsuckers, you know? They're really not bloodsuckers, they're leeches. They're trying to leech on to other levels of bloodsucking, you know? Formats that have already been laid out. Stuff that we fall into, you know? And of course, the result is that we do get bloodsucked, you know? But you know, even so, it's important though, like to be ready, to have your understanding ready. That's the practice though. That's why, like, when you leave the house though, you should have something to say about knowledge power before you left the house. It may not be good enough, may need the whole day, but you should be ready to build. Man, we used to live though. I used to have the god downstairs, man. We get outside, yo, how you see today's mathematics? Like, man, I didn't even close my door. I didn't even close my door. You know what I mean? Gotta be ready. That's the practice of being ready, you know? Halftime, you funny. Yeah, I'm the life of the party now. It's always levels to everything. You know what I'm saying? It's always levels to everything. And most of the people that you see as the roots of blood sucking are not really the roots though. They're just those with allowances to do some of the blood sucking, you know? And a lot of that allowance though, because of our choices we make, are really ourselves, you know? We allow certain things, you know? Like when I see people like Tariq and they say stuff like, they say ignorant things and everything, I make sure and I work on this to make my first urge not to just say, to bum them up. My first, I make it a response to say, well, how is he wrong? Let me articulate that in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Let me articulate that in my mind and show and prove. We let a lot of the forums where we could really build become places that get lost like that. And that includes the social media, you know? Fourth degree, causing division amongst the righteous people. Yeah. Yeah. I got the most hell in the videos when I criticized FBA as an example of the separation of the seeds. And it's funny that people don't, these are people that are listening to a channel with 5% is build. And yet, then they're not seeing the basic 7th degree and the 1 to 14 being played out with what they're doing. You say, well, don't you want reparations? There hasn't been anything articulated out there as far as what type of reparations should be, what they asking for. Is it just going to be lump sum payments though that lose their value if everyone is going to get it, right? Or like I said, that's why I said on What If, I said in the song, I said, we don't want that. We want Mansa Musa trust funds. You know what I'm saying? Right? Or the logic, though, they do with so much separation as far as they spend so much of the time just with the separation of, well, who's going to get it, though? If we get reparations, it's going to be me, and I'm the first in line. I'm this, I'm that. And it's really just a tag to say, I'm first in line to get this. And because we're first, we did all these other things, and we didn't have any interaction with anybody else. It's all monolithic. No one added on to anything, which is how no culture has got along in the United States. It's not the history. For the beginning of jazz throughout, we could say that there are people that are the founders of it, that truly created it to what it is, but there's really no music that's made in the United States by original people that doesn't have significant or very useful influences from other original people and their cultures. There's too much of a mix, or too much of a blend. The root of Black American music is in New Orleans, because all of the blues that was made becomes the crucial point. But it's all going to take focus down there in New Orleans and become jazz. And jazz is the major core of all music. There's a lot of original people adding on to that. So when I say stuff like that, What's a real organization? What type of reparations we should get? What type of investment, which is better? How are we going to invest in the future, the youth, to immediately solve our problems? Then knowing who the oppressor is. You're being smart. You know who the oppressor is. That if he does give reparations, he opens the door automatically to some type of reparation to all other original peoples, right? Like Puerto Ricans. This is why he goes so hard on Puerto Ricans, because Puerto Ricans are openly colonized by the United States. So if anything, if there's not something to give as reparations, there's certainly something to give back, right? The island, its autonomy, right? So there's things to give back. You open up that whole can of worms. But in their mind, you don't open the can of worms if we sufficiently and do it really well and brutally do it, separate all of the peoples. So they'll never even think about that has something to do with it. To me, that's devilish, man. And it's not even logical. This is why they've gone nowhere with the reparations. Absolutely nowhere. To this day, getting people to know about reparations and stuff, honestly, I'm trying to remember his name. Damn, what's his name? Right. Okay. Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? His 2014 article, Case of Reparations, became a big deal. Right? That put it in people's mindset, even though it had flaws in it. It was not really that it didn't lay out everything, obviously, but it put out the issue stronger than anything he's done in 10 years since. He's done nothing for reparations and its direction and putting it in people's minds that surpasses that one article, right? FBA, Foundational Black Affairs Organization. I think Tariq is the leader. He's one of the leaders. And they seek to kind of, they're linked with a lot of people rewriting history, right? A lot of people claiming certain things, right? Right? They take out other original peoples, even though they were in that diaspora, like in hip hop. They rewrite that history. Many of them claim that they're the original Native Americans, and that the other Native Americans, the Native Americans you see everywhere, the hundreds and hundreds of tribes, those are all false. They're all fake. These are the extremes, but these are the biggest contributions that he has. You said halftime, there's a city that borders Chicago that voted for reparations for all its black cities a couple of years ago. I haven't followed the story in a while, but I heard it was okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. You look at the nature of blood sucking. You know what I'm saying? Look at the way the society works. Study the roots of fascism. All of these things. Thank you, God, for that. That's interesting. You study the politics of the day. Many Jewish groups have gotten reparations from this country. Yeah. As recently as even a few years ago, I remember reading something about that. And of course, we could always count in that the massive amount of aid that Israel gets, while they continue their genocide. Thoughts on someone who sees themselves as both an American Indian and black god. You know what? Papa Wu. Freedom Allah. You know, Freedom, all the ones that he's related, Rizza, Jizz, all of them, they are that whole family, the Kufi family, they all have indigenous lineage, you know? And one of the books I talked about, African Americans and Native Americans, by Jack Forbes, Native American writer. He talks about how the blending of these original peoples, how it was very extreme, and how the censuses and the way that people judged and also documented people and categorized them shifted often. You know what I mean? And it's funny that they use that as the text to prove that they're the original Native Americans when that's exactly what it's not saying. You know what I'm saying? It's saying that they become something else together, you know? And you know, so that is a very possible reality. Like, see, I don't think that peace to the God. I don't think that that it's wrong that people say. I don't think that it's wrong that people say that that they have Native American blood or whatever. Like, but it's something that they should be able to prove. You know what I mean? It's something that should be able to prove. Fascism doesn't differ from Zionism. Zionism, though, is the actual propagandist mentality approach to it. Okay, so it's kind of the driving force of it, the mentality, you know. So someone is a Zionist, and then they engage in fascist acts. That makes sense, right? So a Zionist isn't a Jew. That's not what it means, though. Israel's been such a piece of shit devil country that we associate Jews with Zionism. Jews aren't Zionists, though. It's Zionism. It's the mentality of Zionism that sees whatever you are representing as something that must be the leader and owner viciously by any means necessary over everything, right? So what's interesting about that, right, is that what led to Israel, when you read the history, is Christian Zionism. Christians didn't want Christian countries, right? That includes America, to be overrun by Jews that were leaving that were being saved from the concentration camps. Where are they going to go? They didn't want them all to flood different places. You know, they wanted to be the dominant force, right? And throughout Jewish history, this is something to be said. They've been able to make themselves a dominant force on a very low-key level. If you look at the United States of America, there's many Jews that run stuff. You know, the whole entertainment industry, especially film, is run by Jews. These are basic facts, though. You know what I'm saying? Media in general, the biggest media is owned by Jews. So if you say it's run by Jews, it's the same thing. The Christian Zionists are what led to mainly Britain, that led to the formation of giving them Israel so they could go there. The bonus that you see and why the U.S. is so big on it is because it's the United States that actually is funding Israel so heavily so they can have, it's like, look at that. Look where it is. Top of Africa, in the middle of the Middle East, you have a stronghold. You have a super center, you know? And white people always disappoint when it comes to politicians. And I was looking to vote for RFK Jr. because he has a children's defense fund. He's always done things. So he's a lot of research against vaccines, all of them, including the book on Fauci that really exposed him and the devilish he's been doing since AIDS. Fauci is the reason AZT is given to AIDS patients, which AZT is I'm going off, but I won't forget my tangent. AZT was a shelved cancer drug that was so dangerous, it had to be shelved because it was killing it was killing cancer patients. So they couldn't even use it for that. He repurposed it, which happens a lot. But he repurposed that one, and that's the one he said was going to cure. And most of the people that were dying a lot was because of the AZT. It had nothing to do with AIDS, right? That's Fauci. So Fauci's history is not good. If you look at the history of the NIH, the disease and control and all that, since he became head of that, diseases, allergies, sicknesses, right? Diabetes in children, asthma, that has all skyrocketed. So if you look at your run as the people get healthier, this is in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? But I was looking to say, wow, these presidents can't do shit, but at least RFK maybe might keep us from all dealing with this bullshit health and forced vaccinations and all this, biotechnology, harmful biotechnology. So then I see his point in Israel, and he actually told the truth. It was all devilishment. He was actually for Israel. That's his stance. He's for Israel. He gave some bullshit that they actually warn you and they've been nice and everything, which is all bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's all bullshit. And they're bombing Rafah now, the same place that they told refugees to go. So imagine they tell the people, get out of here, we're going to bomb all this. The people that actually do get out, because they don't wait for you to leave, they actually get to the place they're supposed to go where you told them to be safe, and they bomb that too once they're finished with the areas here. That's devilishment. There's no other way. RFK is here justifying it, right? It was maybe a month ago when we knew that this is a genocide. Like, it was popping for a minute. And he said, like JFK, right, his uncle, right, John F. Kennedy was his uncle. He was for Israel because they were the only stronghold. And if they were gone, if we didn't support them, our stronghold there would crumble. What does a country here need with the country over there? It's not like Israel's supplying them food or anything like that, or any goods. So what do they mean by stronghold? The only thing that Israel has, though, that's powerful is the Mossad. Their intelligence agencies, which dwarfs in skill level the CIA. Right? The Mossad, look that up. So what do they have Israel on? They're not sending Jewish pastries over here. They're a stronghold, and their military is intense, though, but that's not something they're offering, because we're the ones building up the military, right? It's the U.S. building up the military. So when you put all these things together, you see, this is what I mean by the blood sucking. You know what I mean? And where you have to look for things, right? How do we analyze situations, right? What is the blood sucking? Iman, peace. You said, how did they get their reparations? And can you elaborate when you say different sects of Jews, like who funded these reparations? You mean reparations that Jews got? Man, I have to do the research because I don't remember. When I see these articles, they're frustrating. I don't read them. But there's many Jewish organizations. I think if you just research the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish Anti-Defamation League, it'll send you there to what they've gotten. But yeah, many Jewish groups have gotten reparations, right? Yeah, Wisdom Infinite. Yes, all still denies being African. Yeah. Now, I mentioned freedom though, and he saw himself as also Indian, but he did not see himself as African too. Like, we saw all of the original culture. Like, yeah, he definitely was one of those. There's no book I'm thinking of offhand, Malik. Quatis, it's great to see you here, man. It's been a minute. You said knowledge, power, all being born to equality, intention, based data. Wow, I like that. That influence the ability to assess. He used assess for equality. Oneself, God, and one's endeavors. Glean through experience and insight. What is meant by intention-based data is information gathered for the purpose of want of something, rather it be a material or an ability, or want to know how to do something, i.e., in learning how to make inroads in one's career. Reading in my industry helps me to continue to push forward in common goals. That's peace. That's peace, God. I see that, Bill. Very good word usage there. All right. Peace to the God, infinite mind. Peace to the universal family in this day. That's right, God. That's right. All right. Conociendo el poder, refinando. All right. Infinite mind, man. If you don't know, Infinite Mind was really killing it out there. That was a great set, intro set that you had there, God. The way you was building and getting into the verse and hyping them up with it, and it was dope. By more, I'm already forgetting. I mentioned Jack Forbes' book. That book I did mention. Yeah, that book I did mention, Jack Forbes' book, when I see Infinite Mind build like that in a cipher and get the people hyped building, but it's not didactic, it's not corny, it's hardcore, gets the people excited. It lets me think how smart so many of the great MCs are today, and they can't do that. You know what I'm saying? They even when they have the knowledge, they're not really doing that. But I'm just gonna leave that there as a commentary. That's peace. That's definitely peace, God. Man, that's a lot. Yeah, man. You get that knowledge out there, man. All the original peoples. Yeah, I saw the clip where you had your logo on the sweater. That was dope. That shit looked fire right there. The Infinite Mind logo looked fire right there. So what's the science, God?
Hey, not really. Just trying to get everything together. I started school at BMCC.
Hey, that's peace, God.
Yeah, so I'm studying linguistics. So I'm learning a lot about like morphology, semantics, all that stuff.
One of the great linguists, Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
Since I was talking about Israel and the devilishment done in Gaza, he wrote a lot of stuff on that too. Yeah, that's peace, God. Linguistics, huh? That actually sounds like a major. I'd be interested. Shit. When I was your age, I didn't even know what that shit meant. Picking a major. That's peace, God. What book you got there, guy?
Oh, this is A Message to Black Man.
Oh, okay. Hardcover, right? You got a hardcover?
Yeah.
Oh shit. I got the paperback. Yeah. How deep are you in the book?
I'm only at the start. You just started talking about like Islam, what it means, and why it's the right religion for the people of North America.
It's a very repetitive book, but it's actually useful in that sense.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the end of it, a lot of it will be in your head really well because, he repeats things a lot. You know what I mean? That's what I remember out of his books in general. But that's essential, necessary read. Right.
A lot of writers, they might like not really go back on topics or like restate things they already said in different ways.
Yeah.
Which would like it would help because you constantly repeating it in the person's mind. They constantly seeing it. It helps them remember like what you're telling them.
Very true.
If you just jump from topic to topic,
with Elijah's books are really they're really speeches that have been annotated and put together in such a way, you know, and that's why you see the repetition, you know. There's selected speeches and stuff. He didn't sit down and write these books, you know.
So this was a whole speech?
They're not all one speech though.
Oh, okay.
It's a collection and they're put in different, you know, ways and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know? Them taking it down and like, what subjects do we need in this book? These are the topics. These are things we need to cover to make it this book. And then they'll get the sufficient things, you know. But yeah, he wasn't sitting down right in there. Infinite, you said they also call the cipher Teotihuacan, which is an ancient Mayan city 40 minutes north of Mexico City, where the pyramids of the sun and moon are. The base of the sun pyramid is the same exact base measurement of the Great Pyramid in Giza. That's right. That's right. I remember reading that. Right? It means, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Teotihuacan, literally translates to the city where men become gods. Man, that's powerful. That's a powerful name. Yeah, that's powerful, God. You know? This is what I think is being lost, you know what I'm saying? I always felt like the stagnation in scholarship, you know, was just finding out the origins, saying this is Black origin, African origin, this origin. Now, if this is all a timeline, we went back here to find the origin, but part of history is to see what happened. Well, how did it happen? How did it get here? We also want to know the middle part. We never got to that level. You know, if you think about it, the Black scholarship that was really, you know, analyzing the pyramids and writing sufficient books and stuff, there's a big gap, and it stops. You know, and now you see a resurgence here of pseudo scholars and Fox intellectuals, and they don't know this stuff. They haven't really done the research, and so they stay with the same talking points. So instead of the research, the prior research being things to build upon, they end up being used as stagnant talking points. You know, and what we're seeing is a separation of original people. We need to find out, like, how did these original people get here? If we all have this origin place, what did we do when we were here? How did we do when we were here in Asia, in India, right? Other parts of Africa. You know, we only have the beginnings of the text, destruction of Black civilization and others, but there was no continuation, not a sufficient continuation. There's so much more to be done. You know, so much more to be done.
The one of the books I want to add to my collection is the I forgot what it was called exactly, but it's like the white people version of Destruction of Black Civilization, in the sense where it talks about like European civilization, how they started, how they ended.
I don't know that book. Yeah, if you get the name of that book, let me know. I might have it though. I have a lot of stuff, guys. Right, that's where you shot the video. Yeah, that's a dope place, man. Yeah, that's powerful. God, we waiting for that. We waiting for the Chiseled MC. We're waiting for that new album, man. Waiting for that. You know, all these years knowing you, Infinite Mind, like I haven't officially been able to interview you. You know what I mean? We way overdue for that. You know what I'm saying? Way overdue. Yeah. Definitely got to get that in. There's a beer. Yeah. Way overdue. Got you. Yeah, got you. Yeah, when it's out, then we'll be, you know. Oh, that's peace. Yeah. That's peace. That's peace. Yeah, look forward to doing an onset. Huh? Tell you something though, guy. You rhyme better now than before. You know, you got better. So that's what's up.
So I have a question. So when it comes to like you teaching like a newborn and they go through their fast process, how do you know if they really went through that process besides like being
What,
next
the
to them?
fast?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, you don't. You know? You know, as a teacher, there's other ways to test their discipline. You know? You know, obviously with me, I give people written assignments. I tell them to write things. You know, I expect certain things. You know, I think one of the immediate things is to get people to say, if they really were about a fast, you got to do a 3-day fast, right? Or some significant fast to start, right? Maybe a day or two, just something to show that they're really trying. Because some people never fast ever,
Mm.
you know. And so sometimes that 3 days is not good to just say do this, and you know. Why do I say that though? A lot of gods want to get the student and they throw them into the 3-day fast. You got to do this, that. We're teaching people. It's not about our fucking statistic of having a student. When you remember that, then you're able to let go and realize what does this person need and what can I give? Because you always have to gauge God what you can give. Okay? People see if I've given a lot, but I've always gauged if it's wearing me down, if it's tearing me down, if I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? You always have to be gauging this, you know? And that's for the future. That's not for now. Maybe 1 or 2 people you build. But when you build with them to fast, you can't really test them. But what you want to do is you want to, you know, sometimes you could though, because you could roll with them and stuff like that. But it's not always the way. That's not the way I am with the students. I teach too many. I can't be following you everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, but when it comes to the fast, you want to teach them. It's about the control of the discipline. Not in some room 3 days looking like, you know, you're getting off crack. You know, you're weeding yourself off heroin and shit. It's supposed to be something that is useful for their body, because you're not teaching them to fast to be allowed to get in. That's just part of it, small part of it. You're teaching them to fast to have the discipline of delayed gratification and the control of their body. The more control that they have of their body, though, the more they could learn things that are not only true, but they could learn things that may not be immediately advantageous, though, or and certainly not allowed in the society. People need discipline for that. You know what I'm saying? You need discipline for that. It's hard to start learning something that puts you in opposition with the world's mentality, right? So that's what the fasting is for. You have to teach it in that way, you know, and for them to learn that this is the beginning of learning of health. Because what went along with that? God, fast for whatever days you tell them, but you're also telling them you got to learn about pork. You know these candies. What are you eating the candies and shit? If they're young, they're eating candies though. They bullshit. They're eating candies and shit. You know, they got to look at everything. They might go, I just eat ice cream or something. And you know they put pig in everything, because what if they put some gummy bears in it? I don't know, you know, something, right? So you gotta tell them, listen, any candy that's chewy that isn't gum is most likely treated like it's pork first. Read carefully, you know, right? All these things, even if they shouldn't even be eating fucking candy and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Right? But you know that's the way it is. I've had many students that eat horribly, and I've had students that they couldn't stop. They really would be crying like, yo, I can't eat pork. And in my mind, I was like, he's not coming back though. Like he said it twice. I mean, one time a guy said, he was Puerto Rican. And he's like, oh man, we really gotta stop eating pork. That's crazy, man. It's crazy. And he's like, this is crazy. Then, you know, near the end of the class, you know, I said again to reinforce how we start and everything. He was like, yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah. And I was like, man, he ain't coming back. He can't even get off of, you know, some bullshit. Yeah, the idea that, you know what I mean? Yeah.
A lot of people, like, it's ingrained in their culture.
Yeah.
Like even with my girl, like, it was to the point where it's like, because every Christmas, that was ham. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now it's like no ham for Christmas. Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious.
Yeah, yeah, because that's we wait all year to eat flesh of ham. It's
Ham and
crazy.
bread. I don't know how that even came together.
Yeah. You know, movies too. Movies. I noticed that movies though they really propagandize pork.
Mm.
You know, they always have characters doing it, and I always feel it's propaganda when they have black folk eating the pig just randomly. You know, that's just randomly like.
It's funny. I was watching the Malcolm X movie, and before he joined the Nation of Islam, he was working on a train. And on the train, he's selling like ham sandwiches. He's singing it like ham sandwiches, ham sandwiches. The Caucasian just like, look at that. I like you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dang, it was been
Yeah, it's 85 is a motherfucker. AIDS and the Doctors of Death. I'm not sure if I have that book. I may have that, but I didn't read it though. I'm gonna check now to see if I have it. No, I don't have it in here, but I have to look at my collection at home. But I haven't read it though.
the Muhammad who created the Islamic religion in Arabia. Do you know if he was black?
Wait, say it again.
The Muhammad who made the Islamic religion in Arabia.
No.
Reason why I'm asking, I was reading.
He's not documented as black, but I doubt he was not some type of mix at best. You know, I don't think anybody's white that is dealing with Islam there in Africa. You know, or where it originates. You know.
I was reading from Babylon Timbuktu, and I remember seeing how he was black. You know what I'm saying, and it was emphasizing that throughout the text. Like a lot of people that was in like the Quran, Bible, it was all black.
Yeah, yeah. Many of them were. You know, but it's certainly the place where original people are. Whether people would classify them as black or at the time. That's why I don't go. You have people that are black, but it's also historically sound to know if they were seen as black at the time, right? Because it's important to how you analyze what's going on when you read text and read the histories of people. You know, it's important. It's important how people were perceived. You know what I mean? Even if the perceiving was wrong, you know?
Yeah, like that goes like the Hamites. They was classifying them as white, even when they were darker than me because of the shape of their nose. Like you have a certain Caucasian feature, so I'm gonna make you white. So you're the dark person here though.
Right. Yeah, the Zul 7. Yeah, that's a dope name, man. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's dope. You gotta get that group album. I want to hear that too, man. Yeah, that. I don't have that book, but I'll seek it out. See if I can get it. Malik, thank you. We are creators in our own creation. You know, we are creators in our own creation. That's what it is. That's what we're in. You know, if you have knowledge of self and you see yourself as God, and you're not thinking of what ways can I create things or whatnot, you're not really. You're limiting yourself in how you exercise your reality. You know, and also see many of the things that you already do as actual creative. You know, as being creative. You know, these are all tools, though, really that put us in the position to create our reality, which is the most important creation, right? Yeah, definitely gonna check out that book. I see the copyright is 1988. That's a very controversial book to write in 1988. You know, absolutely, Malik. Absolutely, to expand, grow, develop. Right. That's what it is. You know.
I'm gonna take this call real quick.
That's peace, God. Okay, let me know. I'm not gonna be here much longer. I'll be here another half hour. You know. I didn't get here at 6. I got stuck on a train, so I got here at around 6:30. Being that we do not believe in a God outside of ourselves, what are some things we can read about that would give further understanding on this? You know, honestly, obviously the books that gods have written help. You know what I'm saying? Um, boy, shameless plug here. My own books, the works of Starmel. You know, if you're reading books like that, but understand there's a new perspective. But it is not. It is new today, but it's not new in history. We didn't come up with this idea that there is no mystery God in the sky, saying that it was that it is man himself. That's something in the Tao. If you really understand and read the Tao Te Ching, many of the Buddhist texts, the Sufic, many literature from the many Sufic orders of ancient times, right? So it's out there in much of the ancient literature as well, and to be analyzed in such a way, you know. So it's not something that we have made up at all. And if it was true, it certainly cannot be made up. I'm definitely going to do the knowledge on it, God. Yeah, I'm very interested. Yes, yes. Of course, as a man thinketh it is a crucial text in there. Right, right. You know, these ideas that man is God. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I think a lot. I find it very enjoyable. Many of the writings of Sufic orders, they're Islamic, and for many of them, they are very clearly telling you, of course, not as clear as we would, and oftentimes very artistically done. You know, note that that man is God. You know, and many of these orders they teach about their pedagogy and their pedagogy of um, how they teach. They taught often under the radar, so they often taught in fables, you know, stories, and it's great reading. And many of the great poets of those eras, like the famous Persian poet Jalaluddin Rumi, and other major writers like Hazrat Inayat Khan, he has a great book about music. Great book about music. Um, these are all
Hazrat.
Hazrat, right? Hazrat, right? Inayat, Inayat, and then last name Khan. 3 names. Hazrat Inayat Khan, Khan. I can send you some books in that too. I got a whole bunch of books.
I bet. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. But Idris Shah has some of the best books about the Sufic orders and stuff. If you want to get a general understanding of Sufism, but remember, these are sects of Islam that often reach the levels of teaching in a way that we do. The only other place that I've ever heard this under this build, where people say teach a man according to his own understanding, was in Sufic text, exactly written as that. And when Nazmi used to tell me that, you know, so it's like it mirrors a lot of stuff. Mirrors that the gods have taught us. You know what I'm saying? Are mirrored in there as well. You know, and it's just beautiful writing off it. You know, beautiful writing. You know, a lot of people they think they're hip and they quote Rumi and his poetry and stuff like that. So that's where you start to hear it and stuff. But when you go deeper into Sufic literature, you find a lot of interesting things. I do have the book by Jack Forbes and a couple of others though. Again, remind me in an email, to get it to you. Divine Reality Piece. You said, what is the date of the Peace Course class Inf Mega has been segmenting with you in the Earth on various subjects? I don't know. Look, I was wearing the blue polo sweater, right? It's here. Let me, you can't wait. You can't wait till Inf Mega shares the rest of it bit by bit. You know, are my classes that exciting that they need to be finished? You know what I mean? But Divine, yeah, it's in one of the. They're in here too because that day I was actually filming. Like, there's another one. I was wearing this sweater, and I didn't stream the class, so it was just me and it was just Inf Mega that recorded it. But that one I was also recorded in the class. So, you know what I'm saying? What's interesting is that even if you watch it in my class, like online here in my channel, it's still worthwhile to check on Inf Megas because you get more interesting conversation. You get all of the commentary, most of it that hates me and stuff. But it's still worthwhile because it's a bigger network. Let me see. January 18th. If you look on my page, this channel here is the January 18th class. So you could cheat and see what happens at the end. Right? Yeah. Yeah, but I've only gotten FBA hell, FBA supporters trying to bomb me. I guess some of the usual "you're not the true and living God" type of stuff, But nothing too extreme. These people will never be here. They'll never show up here, And it's funny, on the Allah School of Mecca page, people comment about our nation like it's a ball team.
Mm.
In other words, like, oh, you guys need to do this so you could do that, and it's like you're not even in this stuff. So like, I don't even know why you're telling me how to do this. Like,
It's like everybody knows what everybody else should be doing.
right. And this is something I used to build with Wise Jamel. So nobody's gonna say that this is something that Sunni said. You could say people that hate say a lot of stuff, but Wise Jamel used to always be angry that there weren't enough students in his classroom, and sometimes they'd be filled, but he would get mad because it'd be erratic. And the reasoning is he felt that if we spend our time, and me and him really spent a lot of time here at the school, and we also spent time preparing the class, and he felt that it was other God's duties to collect the students outside and bring them here. And let's be real, like a lot of people, they might teach a couple of people, but they're not teaching. Most of the guys they got now, they're not really out there teaching. People be like, people have no idea. I don't say it, but people have no idea, like the amount of students that have dwarfs most people. There's very few people that have as many students as I have. So I know who's out there teaching this shit. And they're not teaching, They're not going out there and building, It's why the parliaments are like that, right? Because that's where you're supposed to go to, like, if you're not so sure about this, you go take them to a parliament, you know what I'm saying? Mm. That would be the flow, like, yo, you somebody like, yo, guy, yo, your name is that? Like, and they tell you, like, damn, why is like, because they see it as tough, like, damn, like, like, it's almost like introducing yourself, like, I'm an intelligent black man. And every time you go somewhere, a lot of people don't want that pressure. You know what I mean? Really, they don't want that pressure, And when they ask, you may not have the time to build with them and things like that. And you say, listen, if you're interested, go to one of the parliaments, or I'll take you to a parliament when I'm going, you know? But from there, then they would be directed to class, you know? But it's very few people doing that. And they like to dismiss it as like, well, I don't really like what they teach at the school and this and that. Wow, they have no students at all. None at all. You know? It's an honor, Divine. It's an absolute honor, though. It's an honor. And by the way, on that January 18th class, that's the Earth Jewel. I've known her for at least 20 years. At least 20 years. Definitely. So. We've lived this a long time. We've lived this a long time. You know what's funny? I don't I don't know if I've gotten extra trolls because I rap though. You know, I made songs. I don't know if that's the case. That I don't know. You know what's funny, right? Well, I feel like sometimes people know that I make music, and they don't know that Dark Him has been making music forever, and how dope he is. You know? Dark Him is incredible, and that he was part of the Wu-Tang Killer Bees.
Mm.
Yeah, see, he doesn't go around saying that, so, you know, he doesn't talk about that. You know, the last album he did was with Endemic, a great producer from England, good brother too, and it was called, what was it called? Antediluvian King. That's the name of it. Very dope. His last full solo album, like where he rhymed on it. You know, Dark Him could really rhyme. You know? As a fun exercise, because you're all watching videos, look up Dark Him videos of him MCing. They're all hardcore, and he hates cops. You know, but I summed up Dark Him's rap career, but it's much more. It's more than that. I just fucking around. You know. Yeah, man. Well, King Kamal's heard it because he helped me make it. But I do have a solo album now, coming out soon. All right, let me know. Let me know. What's the science? Any questions? I'm gonna be here until 8:30. Okay. I gotta start listing throughout the week issues that I see, because I see so much dumb shit that people say about stuff that's totally wrong, and I feel like maybe some people have these thoughts and ideas and stuff, you know. But before you came, and one of them guy was like, I had a brother, very intelligent, well-meaning, and was asking me if my Peace Course book, if he gets that along with the lessons, that he'll have everything he needs to know to learn this. And that's kind of awkward, right?
Yeah.
And I probed him, and he hadn't never met any of the gods, and he's not around. He never built any of the gods personally, right? And I said, that's not how you learn this, you know. And my book could teach you a lot, really a lot. That's why I wrote it, but it never would be a mandatory thing, because, like I told you guys, like there's nothing in there that I wouldn't teach you, and that you're not gonna learn with me. You know what I mean? So that's not like you gotta pay for extra Sunni stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's not how it works. You know what I mean? That
plus.
Yeah. It was basically artistic. That book mainly is artistic prose on my understanding. You know, and a lot of people that could learn from me may not even want to read an artistic piece like that. you know, right? But it's important to tell people like, yo, this is something that needs to be learned when you're with someone. And if you can't find someone, if you're in an area that you can't find someone, then we can continue to build. So I'll build with anyone, anywhere, and give them things to work with. But then we take it to another level if we have to. If they can't find anybody, like the God Divine, he's out there in South Africa. So right. So that's important.
Like on that level, I can understand.
Sure, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Really out
Yeah.
world,
I had a brother one time say he was from Queens. And I said this. I think I said this once. And then I said, "Where you from?" And he said, "Queens." I said, "Man, you need to come down here, man. Like, making me say all this shit, like, yeah, that's too much,
We really thought he was in the desert.
Oh, the book I'm talking about, the book I mentioned is my book, the Peace Corps book. Okay, you could find that on Amazon. You could buy it directly from me, but that I don't talk about it because it's not. That's not necessary. Like, you don't have to pay for this course. So why would you pay for a book to officially understand this better from me? That doesn't make sense. That's why I left the book unpublished for so long. Like, I didn't think about it, because I didn't know, even when I worked with the Knowledge of Self book with Supreme Understanding, I had a lot of copies though, but I felt uncomfortable selling it because the essays that were in there were like essays that I would give out. Like, they were not really like essays for creative works, so I didn't feel comfortable with that, so I gave them away. I had like 200 copies. I was giving them away, I don't even know where the fuck mine is. I think I know where it is. I have one. I know I have one at least for myself. But if you're buying my hip hop books, man, you're gonna have to pay. I told you have to pay. Asiatic though, simple. Right? Asia is Attic is the storehouse, right? Asia is the body. You know what I mean? Right? The reality, right? The place that we're from, Asia going back to the root, the etymological roots, Pangea. So there are about two. There could be more, but there's two main etymological thought processes that scholars argue. But one of the major ones is that they say that Asia's etymological root is Pangea, and that's what they called the whole, when all the land masses were united, right? And that's the etymological root of the word Asia, right? So that's why it's Asiatic, though, because I was seen as like the first name of the land, So, yeah. Did I define it there? I think I did, right? Well, mine ain't online, and if somebody has my books online, they bootleg it. We'll find it. So. But again, if you're interested in any books that I have, like I'll just say this quick. My newest book, that's full price though. The Real of 2020. That is over 640 pages. You know what I mean? And I just released it, so y'all gotta pay for that one. The good price with me or the full price on Amazon. You know what I mean? But all my other books this weekend is just $15 though. You know what I'm saying? So if you're interested in anything I've ever written, my poetry book, everything, I'm just 15 plus shipping, wherever you at. But everything else though, just the Real is the Real of 2022, the new one. This weekend I will be, actually tomorrow I'll officially finish another book, and so I have another book coming soon. But again, that's stuff for another time and stuff like that. Go on IG and talk shit about my books. I'll tell you something though. the important thing though is to try to format your life to have some type of works, proof of your reality, proof of your bills. You know what I mean? Proof of your worth, you know? And I get to say that because the things that I've created, though, travel much farther than I have. And I learned that a long time ago when I used to be at certain magazines. There was one time I was with my brother, my twin brother, and we was at a vegan restaurant. And these brothers kept looking. And I'm thinking, like, they're looking at us in the table. And I'm thinking, like, they want something. It might be on. We might, you know. And now I'm in trouble, though, because rolling with my brother, man, that's not the one you want to roll with when shit pops off. You can't fight. You know? My bro can't fight, you know. I got to do double duty. Then the brothers came up to the table and they said they was from Baltimore. And they had read an article I had written in Double XL, you know, the Beat Nuts piece. Because in the Beat Nuts piece, I wrote the conversation I had with Juju, telling them that all the original people of God, not just the African American. Because he was asking me. He said that Tariq, who's the third in the Beat Nuts, told him that Dominicans can't be God. I wrote that whole conversation in there. So a lot of people got kind of sparked by that. You know? And these brothers from Baltimore recognize. I don't know how the fuck they recognize me. Because these articles didn't put my picture in there. You know what I'm saying? But they did. I don't know how it did. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's, you know, like, think about the works that you give out to the people. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a lasting effect. You know what I'm saying? It has a lasting effect. It means something to people. You know what I mean? And if we could be sincere enough, though, that the works that we give out, though, they shouldn't hide your flaws, the things that you're not great at, the things that you're not good at, the things that you are failing at and struggling with, right? But they show your sincerity by showing what you're great at and what you really want to share with the world. And that's important. You know what I mean? That's important. You know? And there should be things that you learn to do that are good for you, but you have great difficulty with them. You know what I'm saying? This is why I love the martial arts stuff. A lot of people see me do martial arts and stuff like that, but that is the thing I do worst out of the things I do most. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what, I have a body for Kung Fu, the agility body, the short stature, the low center of gravity to do a lot of things. But as a martial art, as a fighter in general, I always have to overcome odds, right? Mostly everybody I would ever fight, or in my life, though, I could say this for my life, everybody I've ever fought is out of my weight class, if you know what I mean. I've never fought anybody in my weight class, ever. You know what I mean? And so it's always something that's good for you, but it's always very difficult. You know what I'm saying? There should be things that you do that are challenging like this, you know? Because there are things that you can't just do horrible. You know what I'm saying? That you need to do anyway. So it's good to have practice with things that you do that you're not so great at, or what you order in that, you know, that you know that they'll be good for you, you know? That's why it's not even a question, like, you know? It's not even a question of how I'll do the martial arts or not, you know what I'm saying? Right? This is one of the reasons, you know? And sometimes you test people, like you teach somebody, you tell them to fast, things like that. You have to test them in certain ways to show, like, does this person have the conviction, the discipline? There's many ways to test the discipline. You know, where if you failed, you'd be like, are you even fasting? You know what I mean? Like, are you even fasting? You know? Because one way to know if they are fasting and incorporating it into their life, go out with a meal with them. If you spend some time with them, you go, yo, let's get some food. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got money? Okay, you know, we'll buy our own food, but we'll go eat. Let's go eat it. Or, you know, I'll break you up if you have the money and you can add on. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, right? See what they eat, though. You know? See how they, because everything has to do with simple things. Do they eat like crazy? You know? Right? Do they look like, you know, they're a prisoner in a Cambodian cell, bamboo cage, and they're eating like a mile a minute. You know what I'm saying? Or they have like manners and they have a way of doing things. Sometimes with people that you teaching and stuff, you gotta see how they are inside and shit. You know what I mean? How they roll, what they do, it tells you a lot. So if you get you put yourself in that role now, and now you're also teaching. So that means that you have to really learn how to gauge and judge what you're seeing. You see? So all the answers to their development aren't just going to be answers to your questions. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you finish this? Right? Or the general question, where are you at in this and that? Right? And you have to find. You can make more better judgments as well the more you know about their life. So you can't tell somebody like, man, you should have memorized this 120. People do that all the time though. And it's like, what's your gauge? Is it your life or his life? You know what I'm saying? So if you think like I gave it to you like 2 months ago, definitely should have Supreme Math memorized, right? Now let's come on.
First week.
Yeah, right. But you're going first week. You see what I'm saying? Right? So there are certain that's easy to judge. But then when you get to the lessons, like sometimes not, some people are not good at memorizing because they never had to memorize and they be getting by with short-term memory. Even good students get by with short-term memory. So short-term memory, they'll memorize it, and then when the test goes, boom, it's out. I don't remember the shit. I already did the test. That shit I already forgot that shit. You know what I mean? And then awareness, which also plagues their memory. So awareness, like that's why I wrote the Build the Awareness Square Plus lesson, the 5 things to study of yourself, right? Because people don't remember what they eat. You know what I'm saying? They don't remember. They couldn't tell you like this week, like we're Thursday, like what this week, how they've been training, like exercising their body. So they say some dumb shit. Well, I woke to the training, shit that isn't really going to get you in shape, right? Eat, train. What they wrote? If they read this week, you know what I'm saying? Did they read anything? Did they read like anything, like a book or something, right? Let alone like the last thing in the lesson is how they share. How do they share to the world? It's always important to note how you share to the world. When do you share? Under what conditions do you share, and what are you sharing? It's all the things to take note. What do you read and write? What are you watching? What are you doing an ounce to? You know what I'm saying? Sure. For what I was taught, the Indians were exiled for dealing with a mystery god. I don't know if that's sufficient. There's more study to be done and more research, but that's what I was taught as a general thing, right?
Yeah, I want to know where they even got that from in the first place.
Yeah. It makes sense because there's a lot of rituals and stuff, but right, there's a lot of rituals. There's a lot of tribes. They did not all get along. I mean, in the Americas, there's hundreds of tribes, and they're not some of them like the tribes that I'm coming from, the Arawak. Those are nomadic tribes too. So me having a lineage of being an Arawak, right? That's still links me with nearly all of South America because they were migratory. So you don't even know how they were funneling, where they were coming from, So it gives you a longer lineage, you know what I mean? So that's something to take note too. The assumption, though, that if they exiled someone 16,000 years ago, they must have been right and exact on that level, though. You know what I mean? But again, this is why I say it's not so much to find the answer, is the more people that have knowledge of self, the more people that get to the studies of ancient history, we're eventually going to develop the scholars to actually dig in that. Because it's something I've been saying, guys, since I started teaching you. This scholarship has just begun. And it needs so much more, you know? And that's why I don't need to give a definitive answer. You know? I don't need to give a definitive answer. You know? 16,000 years ago, many of the civilizations in Africa were in flux and developing. And technically, by the way that we have found the studies of it, they dealt with their own mystery gods by our standards and dealing with what has been told about them, because they could have analyzed it incorrectly. Many of these are white scholars, and we can guarantee that whether black, brown, yellow, white, they were all scholars that mostly dealt with a mystery god. So when they study ancient cultures, they don't perceive that that's what they could be looking at. You know what I'm saying? Why do you look how long it takes people to understand fucking Buddhism? And that Buddha is not a god. That's not God. There's not a fat Buddha that he's out in the sky chilling. You know, that's a mutation that happened in all of the Asian countries. And of course, skews the way that people learned it when they went to the West. But that has nothing to do with that. You know? Buddha has to do with the nature, the higher, the nature that you reach, the elevation, the enlightenment. You know? So that Buddha nature is in all things, all sentient beings. That's what it is. The Buddha, the original Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha that founded it, the prince that foregoed his kingship, he was the opposite of that. These guys were talking about whether grass gets hurt if we walk on it. You know what I mean? When people have arguments like that, God, they're not eating. They hungry. You know what I'm saying? They're not eating. So he actually was not fat. But the fat meant like rich in knowledge and spirituality and all these things. That it was a symbol. It was a symbol. And it comes from the tradition that it was going away from. The idolatry that was in Hinduism is what sparked Buddha, Shakyamuni. That's what sparked him to speak out and be a prophet. Just like Muhammad, just like, you know what I mean? Fard, speak out against idolatry, you know, and basically mystery gods. Because Hinduism was filled with it. It had gone nuts with it. So it spawns out of Hinduism. You know what I mean? So that Buddha statue is in that tradition, you know?
When it comes to the polytheistic like religions and whatnot, it always started from like one being, and then it just keeps on adding on. Like this person had a child, and then these had 8 children.
Yeah,
so it's just one big family, but it all stems from one person.
Right, right.
And sometimes that person would be like, it would be a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like Atum, for example, in Egypt mythology. You he birthed the universe. He birthed himself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
he was self-created.
Right.
And that's what makes him the God.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just like all of us, we're also self-created.
Right. We're seeing all these stories though, but they're told to us from the perspective of people that don't see them the way that we see. That people could actually not see a mystery God or mysterious being or energy be a God above them, a higher being that is greater than them. You see? So most ancient civilizations, we could say that ancient civilizations have not been analyzed from the possibilities that is not true. They have been analyzed from the position of what mystery did they believe in. It's a big difference. Halftime, yeah, peace, God. Just email me and I'll send you. Email me so you can remind me what it was, and I'll send it to you. You know, Sunez97@gmail.com. Just email me and I get it. You know, right now it's gonna be 8:30, so I've been here 2 hours. Wow, I can't believe I've been here this long. But okay, all right. So let me know. Email me if you're interested, and if you really want to be a student of mine, You're not a student of mine if you just watch the classes, even if you interact in the chat. Okay, we have to build further. We have to build in depth. And it's great seeing some of you. Quartis, have seen you in a long time, so it's great to see and hear from you. That's P793. All right, Dios the prescription. I never seen that. You here. Any more information, you can email me here. Let me write the email before I get out of here. All right. So email me any of the books that I mentioned, or any books that you want. Like if you're interested in reading something, let me know. I got stuff about everything. All right. And with that said, peace. All right. Until next time. Peace.